Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Thought we would do an inside video because I haven't done one like this in so long, other than the live streams we do. Um, it's really windy out. That's part of it. Even with a really good mic, it is so windy. It's been make it difficult to understand. So, thought we'd come inside, talk about some things in the news. It's mostly focused in the Middle East. Stuff that's going on in Israel with us and Iran, Hezbollah, Yemen, Russia. It's all getting crazy, and I think a lot of us are trying to figure out, is this actually leading us to a World War III scenario, which I think that's become the general consensus? Or is this being a distraction for something else? Or, and this is another alternative theory, is that the United States knows that a war needs to happen, like a global war, big war needs to happen. They want to get rid of Iran. They want to cause problems with China and Russia because those are the three kind of kingpins right now, regionally, in different regions that are really working to unseat the United States from its prominent global position. But the United States might feel that they are just not in a place that they could actually take on all three of those. So they're trying to develop proxy wars that would actually fight for the United States against those three adversaries. I don't know. Something to think about. Before I get started in that, I want to show you something that it's a buddy of mine that does this. It's his company. I get no financial compensation for this at all. I am sharing this with you because I believe it is a good product for you folks. Yesterday, I did a video about the reconnaissance book, which is excellent. I think several of you bought that. And there's more that you need than just books, though. I mean, books are great. You know, you can see I got a bunch here. I got more all over the place. But you also need some training. And that's where this good friend of mine and his company comes into play. It's called Iron Survival. You've probably heard of me talk about it. Ironsurvival.com. They offer online training. They offer peer-to-peer online talk, helping you, consulting, that kind of stuff. And they also offer in-person training. A lot of our people from our community, our group, has gone to their facility and done in-person training. You can see the patches and the emblems here. I know that's not a good example of credentials, but that is some of the credentials. If you go to their actual coaches, it'll give you the background of the coaches that they have, the instructors that they have, and these are some of the backgrounds that these guys come from, showing you that these guys are very, very legitimate. They're very legitimate. I just wanted to take a moment to show you some of the stuff because I know some of you, most of you, are not here locally. So let me show you the stuff that you can do where you're at. This is their online and live coaching area. These are some of these courses that you can pick up online. Like right now, this one's kind of on a special here, $19. $19 for this course. These others, $40, $40, $45. They have training manuals that you can purchase online, training manuals. And then also you can do one-on-one coaching with some of these guys that are part of this organization. These are top of the line. You can also gift some of this stuff. Now, when these courses that you take, I'm going to scroll back up here and let's just pick one: tactical home defense and security. So when you take one of these courses, it's not just like watching a YouTube video. It's a full-on course. It has different illustrations, quizzes, exams. You have access when you purchase this particular course. You will have access to this material online for 12 months. So you can review it over and over again. Now, is this as good as in-person training? No, of course not. It's not as good. But for a lot of you, in-person training just may not be available. You may not have the funds to travel to do that kind of stuff. So this will work. Now, they also do in-person training here in the Southern Missouri Ozarks. So if you live in the Southern Missouri Ozarks, they're doing in-person training usually once or twice a month on a weekend. You can contact them through this website, ironsurvival.com. I don't think you're going to be disappointed in this stuff. And don't think that, well, I don't look like these guys. Look at all these guys in, high speed, combat guys. No, they do courses, and they can start you out. If you're struggling just to figure out how to hold a weapon, they can start you. So you don't have to be some tactical high speed person to take these courses. And I would encourage you to at least try them out. Look at it this way: if you tried out one of these things, $19, $40, that that's not a lot of money for most people to just risk on whether or not it's good or not. And it is good. So check them out, ironsurvival.com. All right, let's get into a few things in the news. Stuff going on in Israel. BRICS has met, and they are uh, very much urging this stuff to stop in Gaza. And BRICS is the second most powerful block of government entities really on the planet, next to, I would guess, NATO would probably be the most powerful. So we're talking a lot of power here. The majority of the world's oil supply and other materials comes out of BRICS. So if BRICS starts to get to the side of, hey, we don't like what's going on. We're willing to put sanctions on you guys because you've been putting sanctions on their people, Russia. So I think this is becoming serious. Also, South Africa, they have shut down the Israeli. It just slipped my mind. The consulate there in South Africa. They're breaking ties, diplomatic ties with Israel. There is a potential ceasefire deal being worked out. It's been going back and forth for the last couple of days, but it does look like at this point that a maybe up to a 5-day ceasefire could be agreed upon, and that's going to release 50, 60 hostages, and then also potentially Israel would be releasing some of their Palestinian hostages or Palestinian prisoners. So it could happen, but you know how these things go, especially in that region. Sometimes at the last moment they get broken and canceled, or even once the ceasefire begins, it's also likely in that region that they don't last as long as they thought. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Iranian-backed militia has hit U.S. forces at an Iraq airbase, injuring 8, prompting retaliation. This is a big part of what this video is about. Is there's a lot of, this has been going back and forth just about since October 7th, where Iranian-backed militias, Yemenis-backed militia, all that kind of stuff, Syrian-backed militias are attacking U.S. soldiers. But it's becoming more intense. It's getting to be a bigger deal. It says here, and this is from today. This was published 3 p.m. Eastern time today, November 21st, that approximately 66 attacks have happened on U.S. soldiers since October 17th. So it's been picking up quite a bit. In the end, it's not just the attacks, but the intensity of the attacks are picking up speed. The Pentagon, this goes along, I think, with what I was talking about this morning's video. The Pentagon has asked for $114 million, which in Pentagon budget really isn't that much, but it is. It's $114 million to spend on diversity, equity, and inclusion, accessibility for next year. Now, for those of you that's been living under a rock for a while, diversity, equity, and inclusion are keywords to force feeding all of this woke, transgender, critical race theory kind of garbage, right? That's what it means. The top generals can cross dress and all that kind of stuff, and your tax dollars are paying for it. Now, this morning's video was talking about the problem in the military of getting recruitment, that they're begging people to come back to the military. They're begging. I've even heard from guys they're disabled veterans, like they're on disability because of their service. They were injured in service, and they're asking them to come back. Even if it's not to go into a combat role, but come back to do training, to train new recruits. So they're getting desperate because they just can't get enough recruits. And I'm totally sure this right here is going to help, right? I mean, the vast majority of American volunteers into our military have always been conservative leaning, middle of America, Southern American, not from the very woke liberal areas. They do come from those places too, but the majority do not. And so pushing a further left woke agenda is going to, I'm afraid, going to make recruitment even harder. And so what it's going to lead to is a potential for one or two things or both. Um, Obviously a draft is the first thing that most people think of. Is this going to get so bad that they have to enact a draft, or the thing that I spoke of in the beginning of a proxy wars where we realize as a government and as a military that we cannot conduct any kind of war anymore because we don't, at least wide scale, broad, multi front war, because we don't have the troops. We have the technology, we have the capabilities, we just don't have the troops anymore. Because in the end, at least for now, all of the technology is great, but at some point you have to have boots on the ground to actually conduct a war. And if we can't do that anymore, if we can't garner enough troops and they're not willing to do a draft, then the only other thing is to push for these proxy wars where we're encouraging other entities like Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan, and who knows who, South Korea, to do the actual physical fighting, and we fund the process. So that's something that's probably more and more likely going to happen. But I do think at some point, if a global war does break out or even gets close to that, I think we're going to start seeing a possibility of draft. They've been softening that up, the whole draft thing. There's been little snippets in the news and articles being pushed to kind of soften the blow or justify a draft. So I still think we're going to see that. This one here I thought was interesting. This is from today. U.S. Central Command, which of course is the Middle Eastern region. An AC-130 gunship was used. For those of you that do not know, that is the Angel of Death, or sometimes referred to as Puff the Magic Dragon. It's one of the most powerful flying guns on the planet. AC-130 gunship was actually used against individuals that were shooting missiles at U.S. and coalition troops in Iraq. So this is starting to sound more and more like what a lot of us are familiar hearing and seeing of a war in the Middle East. Not so much of just randomly shooting a precision guided rocket or missile, or sending a drone or whatever to take out. This is, in my opinion, getting closer and closer to real engagement from a conventional military standpoint of using an AC-130 gunship. So I think things are heating up is basically what it says. And we're bouncing back and forth. We're a roller coaster ride today. Air Force Base warns service members to avoid Patriot rally with speakers from pro-Trump groups. So there's apparently some patriotic rally near a military base and near an Air Force base, and the Air Force base has warned its crew that, hey, don't go to this patriotic rally. There's pro-Trump people there. It's all that bad patriotic extremist stuff. And apparently, according to this Fox News article, that they were told that participation in this patriot rally could jeopardize their military career. Now, the last time I remember checking, we actually wanted our military to be patriotic. I mean, that was one of the core tenets of being in the military and being proud of your service, is that you're doing it out of your patriotism. I mean, yes, you can make some money, you can help get your college paid for. There are side benefits, obviously, to joining the military. But the core thing has generally always been that you felt you were fulfilling your patriotic duty. And now we're being told that if you participate in any type of patriotic thing, you could jeopardize your military career. I mean, that makes me want to go sign up to the military even more, wouldn't it, you? Could say a lot of things on this stuff. but then it'd be a long video. But I think basically it to sum it up is we are watching very, very much right in front of our face all of the stuff that folks like you and I, especially those of you that's been awake for a long time, that we've been warning about for years, even decades, that this Marxist, communist, globalist path, this anti God, anti Christian, anti family, anti traditional values, anti Constitution path that this country was going down was going to end up in a really bad place. And here we now have our own military, our own American military warning service members that if they participate in a patriotic rally, that you could jeopardize your military service. Isn't that that's it's insane. And then to wrap this up, a little bit about Russia. Russia's Wagner, let me pronounce it, I think correctly, Wagner Group, um, is now this is not brand new news. This was hinted about a couple of weeks ago, but it looks like that it is going to happen, that they're going to offer some air defense systems to either Hezbollah or Iran. In reading the article, the United States didn't seem to be sure on which one was going to happen. But the point is, going back to an earlier statement, is that all these conflicts are connected. You know, China, Taiwan, Israel, Gaza, Middle East, Russia, Ukraine, it's all connected. Okay. These are not individual incidences that are happening. There's serious connection here going on. And I think one of the biggest things that connect all of this is the United States. And I'm not anti-patriotic or unpatriotic. In fact, I believe one of the main things to be truly patriotic is to be uh, very crucial and very not crucial, critical against our own government, and seeing what we're doing as a government is it's sad in many ways. In many ways, the destruction of morality and families and tradition and religion, the things that are being done to the children, the things that's being done to this nation as a whole by purposely having open borders, the destruction of our economy, the destruction of the middle class and the wealth in this nation, basically transferring it from folks like you and I to the upper class, and then this just hell bent on engaging in global wars, really for an end purpose to finally take over, enact their big globalist, beast system, end times type of system, their Agenda 2030, their Great Reset, whatever it is that you want to call it. That's the path that we're on. All of these things that are happening, I say this all the time. I feel like I say it till I'm blue in the face, but it's true. All of these things that are happening, eh, the many things that I know that many of you have said it, I've heard people say it, that there's just so much stuff going on, it's hard to keep up, right? There's just so many things happening. It's hard for us to keep up at times. We get focused on this thing over here because it's hot in the news, and then we're like, oh, wait a minute, there was these things over here. I've kind of forgotten about them the last few days. All of these things are being done for a purpose, folks. There is an agenda. There is orchestration going on, and all of it is to further the demise of Western society, to further the demise of the United States. Because if they can bring the United States down, then the whole is in their hand. There's nothing to stop these evil globalists. And so that's why you're seeing all the chaos and all the destruction and all the confusion and all the wars. It's all being done for a purpose. And so even though there's all this stuff in the news, and there's certainly more, I mean, I could have sat here for an hour showing you all these things in the news. But the point is that there's enough going on that you should be waking up more and more. You should be taking the matter at hand very seriously and getting yourselves ready. Stocking up, of course, is important. Developing your skills, living in the best location that you can. All of these things are important. But really, the things that are the most important is your mental awareness and your mental toughness, your development of proper relationships within your family, your spouse, your family, and your community. And then the most important thing is the strengthening of your relationship with the Most High, the Almighty Creator, God Almighty. That's the most important thing that you can be doing, because everything that you're watching happening, while it's certainly physical, it's certainly psychological, it's definitely spiritual, though. And you need to be getting ready for that, getting your houses in order and preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.